the St. Leonard's Academy Year 9 Macbeth Character Development videos. This week, we'll be focusing on how the setting in Shakespeare's plays can tell us quite a bit about the characters and what we can learn about the characters through looking closely at the setting that Shakespeare develops. Now, first of all, we need to look at the question, and all of these videos will be leading up to help you answer this one question at the end, to help develop your answer in a very detailed way to get a higher grade. Now, we need to break it down in terms of key words. How does Shakespeare present the character of Macbeth in Act 2, Scene 3? Well, the first word we need to pay attention to is how. Because how means we're looking at specific language and descriptions used to develop that character that Shakespeare uses. We also need to look at the word Macbeth, because Macbeth tells us this is the character we're looking at in our answer. You can only talk about the character of Macbeth unless you discuss with other characters' reactions, tell us about him. Now, Act 2, Scene 3, that means in your answer to the question, you should only discuss Act 2, Scene 3. If you discuss another part, you're not actually answering the question and could lose marks. You need to be specific about what part of Shakespeare's language you're focusing on. Now, setting can tell us quite a bit about characters, and we don't usually associate these settings in our answers with what they tell us about a character, but actually we can learn quite a bit. And the few bits of information Shakespeare gives us about the setting reflect a lot about the characters. So here's some examples of how different settings can tell us something about a character. For example, in this picture, we've got the flowery field, the character sitting here by the tree, and everything appears quite pretty, quite calm and beautiful, but then you've got the war planes in the background, and that could suggest conflict. There's something going on with this character, something's not quite right. Everything appears to be okay, but there's something lurking in the background. Now, our next example is of a castle surrounded by only water and forest. It's quite isolated. So if you had a character that was placed within this scene, it could suggest that the character, like the castle, is isolated and lonely. And here we have an empty landscape, and quite a barren landscape as well. The trees quite bare, there's not much green around. And this empty and lifeless landscape could suggest that the character is confused and lonely. Now, the weather is a key thing as well that Shakespeare used to suggest things about his characters. So, for example, stormy and rough weather could suggest that a character is having problems or is in a bad mood, or could suggest that the character may not be liked or is up to no good. Now, the use of mist or fog could be symbolic of mystery, or suggesting that we don't know everything about a character, that we don't get the full picture. There's something hidden underneath. And then a hot and maybe sunny atmosphere could even suggest anger or aggression or violence on the way with a certain character. Alternatively, the light at the sunny atmosphere could highlight passion and happiness. So those are a few examples of what different settings can tell us about a character. Let's have a look at an example from Act 1, Scene 1. And we're not looking at Macbeth here like our question is. We're going to use the witch as an example because this is how Shakespeare starts the play and suggests something very powerful about the three witches. So we have a deserted place, okay, kind of like a desert, except they're up on the moor, and it's quite a dark place. Now, the idea of the witches meeting in a deserted place could highlight the isolated nature of the characters, and the way they were perceived during that time. They're separate. They're not in the town, they're not in a village, they're not surrounded by the other characters in the play. They're on their own in this isolated place, and they choose to be there, which could show how outcast they were from society at that time. Now, the thunder and lightning. The use of thunder and lightning very obviously creates a tense atmosphere and will immediately put the audience on edge. During that time, witches were associated with bad weather and negative events, suggesting that something bad's going to happen. It reflects almost the way people felt about them back then. They were evil, they were up to no good. Now let's have an example answer and have a look at what the student's done based on the witches, using the setting to tell us some things about their character. Shakespeare creates mysterious characters in the witches through his descriptions of the setting as being a deserted place. There's our quote. This creates a sense of mystery about the characters, as it leaves the audience unsure about why they have chosen to be alone. It also suggests they want the isolation to do things that people would not approve of. So we've got a clear answer here that bases what they've learned about the characters just on a few words linked to the setting.